If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode this Wednesday of the STL Bucket List Show. I'm your host, Marissa Farrell.
And I am your other host, Lucas Farrell. And we couldn't do this show without our friends over at the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. They're the largest public funder of arts and art organizations right here in St. Louis. And if you didn't know, everybody knows St. Louis is a sports town, but in all reality, St. Louis is an arts town as well. So can't thank them enough. And then, of course, our friends at Half Coast Studios, Matt in the back on the ones and twos, cutting up a perfect episode so that we can put out a new show every single week on Spotify, Apple, YouTube.
Every Wednesday, you know where to find us.
So we got a very special guest in here today. Marissa, if you want to do the introduction.
I will do the intro. So we've got Chris with Profield Reserve. How is it going?
Doing great. Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
I'm glad we got you on. You are well sought after. Like, we've been wanting to get you on this show. So
we've done, this is episode 59. We probably reached out.
Count.
We probably reached out before we even started it. And then obviously you growing your businesses and
you're an entrepreneur. Let's just leave it at that. You're busy.
But you know, and also, like, you know, we've been around now, so you're like, all right, they're established. They've been putting out episodes every week. So Marissa, if you want to read that real quick, just to tell everybody a little bit about, if you don't already know who Profield Reserve is.
Yeah. So Profield Reserve, and you can find this info if you go to their website as well. But just to give you all some insight. It was established in St. Louis in the spring of 2020 with a focus on athletics, design, and lifestyle. Profield Reserve offers an array of durable, premium, everyday staple items that are inspired by timeless simplicity. All of our pieces and curated capsule collections are finished in-house and made in small batches. So, STL made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. So, before we get into Profield, we always like to ask a little bit about the person that we're interviewing. So if you just want to give us a little insight on, you know, where you're from, background, stuff like that, and then
family, your supporters.
Yeah. So I'm from the Illinois side, more from the southern Illinois part, down by Carbondale. So I'm from a small town called Heron, Illinois. It's a little Italian town. It's probably about 2-3 miles long. It goes from a gas station down to a McDonald's.
I know those towns.
Wow.
Yeah, very small town. But as soon as I was born, I was already up here in St. Louis. So I was born very sick, right? Very, a lot of health issues. I'm actually adopted. So my mother, she had... let's just say some mental issues, didn't know who my dad was. So as soon as I was born, they were like, this kid is like, we don't know if he's going to make it. We got to get him up to St. Louis, right? So I was up at Cardinal Glennon for a while. And then the people that adopted me, they were coming up and caring for me and stuff. And then finally they're like, I think we're going to adopt him. We're going to bring him back to Illinois. So basically after that, I was in a small town surrounded by people that didn't look like me, weren't into the things that I was into. So I dove into like art, fashion, sports. That was kind of like, I'm an 80s, 90s kid. So I was born in 82, going to be 41 this May. So I grew up with the cassettes, the CDs, magazines, all that like tactile stuff that like you don't really find much, but I see it's making a huge comeback now. So being surrounded by all that stuff, I kind of just dove into what I liked. And that's kind of been what I've been doing my entire life, is just diving into my own interest. Because I was that kid that, like I said, was looking around and like, I don't really look like anybody. I'm not really into the same things. Kind of felt like, I joke about this all the time, felt like an alien dropped into a small town.
Yeah.
So I was always that kid too when we'd come up to St. Louis, because we're only an hour and a half away. I'm like, I could live there one day, right? Even as a kid, I remember coming over the hill, you know, coming from the Illinois side, you see the arch, and it's like, the arch, Busch Stadium, you know, the zoo. Like, I'm very much like, I'm that kid that came here for, the sports, the things that tourists come for. But
Right.
like,
The
I
feeling.
knew, the feeling, small town kid that was like, this seems more appropriate for me. So when it came time for me to make a decision on where to relocate my family, St. Louis is what we settled on. Plus the grandparents like wanted us close. So my partner, she's from Springfield, Missouri. I'm from the Illinois side. So we landed in.
Met in the middle.
Yeah. So we've been here now 10 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So 10 years. So yeah, we have like kind of a similar, like we're from Winsville, or I'm from like Winsville.
I mean,
you are too. Yeah. So that's like 45 miles outside of St. Louis. So it's the other way west. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like you live in this town, but then you go to the city and you get inspired. You're like, wow. Same with like when we went to New York, like it's even bigger and you get even more inspired. So I think that like creative entrepreneurs like yourself, like you need imperfections and like, I guess what would you call it? Grit or what, whatever. Like then you're like, you get inspired by whether it be a park or whether it be a hospital or anything, stuff that you drive by. And I think this collab I'm wearing, I know you guys aren't watching if you're not watching, but this was when this is Jordan Ward's.
Jordan Ward.
And he would like drive by this every day. So every like piece, and that was when we first met. This was probably like 2 years ago. But yeah, that's dope. I didn't know any of that about you.
Thank you for sharing your story too.
Yeah, I don't really share it too much. There's not really time to talk about it, but it's kind of one of the things I think people need to know, that you can kind of come from really wherever and come to cities and really like shake things up. I think because you're maybe looking at things differently the most, right? Not that I have a leg up or anything. Maybe I'm viewing the city differently and coming to it with a fresh perspective. So even though I was here for 10 years, I mean, even though I'm ducked off, I'm still eating the food. I'm still going to the games. I'm still running my other business that I was doing before Profield. But by the time I was ready to start Profield, I knew kind of already what the city was maybe looking for, maybe what I was looking for. And I was like, I can open a brick and mortar with the type of stuff that I wish I had access to down in the city, because I used to have a warehouse that was on Jefferson. And it would be like, man, like I'm only down here. Maybe I can find some food every once in a while down here on the south side, right? Yeah. But like as far as like shopping, it wasn't there. Yeah. So every time I was down on Cherokee Street, I was just like, well, man. But then I came across the space, and next thing I know, like
you're there.
We're signing the lease, and I didn't have a name, nothing. I just
knew,
for real.
Yeah,
I just knew that I was going to put something in there, but it was going to be clothing, right? It was going to be something I was already involved in that I could literally just flip on.
So let's talk about that, like kind of before Profield, because you had mentioned like you had businesses, you were here for 10 years, so like you've always been in this industry. You've always been in art and fashion. So tell us a little bit about some of the other ventures that you've been in.
Yeah. So being a kid that was into sports, athletics, fashion. I went to college for product design, right? So I was that kid that was like, I'm going to go work for Nike. I'm going to design shoes for Jordan, right? And then I realized so is everyone else. So my first real job was out of college was I worked for an engineering firm up in Davenport, Iowa. Literally 6 months after graduating college, after telling all the jobs that I had, I'm never coming back. I got me a salary position, right? Like I've worked my butt off to get to this point. See you. 6 months after college, got caught in the recession, 2008, 2009. Okay, yep. Ended up back in my mom's basement.
Humbled.
Just where we want to be.
Humbled. Knocking on, I used to work for a Finish Line. I worked for a Finish Line for like 8-9 years. Not really off and on, but all through like high school and college, right? So I'm like, hey, you got that assistant management job still? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just be sales floor, right? And then it's like working all these multiple jobs to make ends meet, So that's when I started my first business, right? Came up with some ideas, had it printed on like 2 or 3 T-shirts, put it online, and this kid from Chicago's like, this is amazing stuff. Like, what is this? And I'm like, I've started a brand out of thin air, but this is my interest, right? So he was like, hey, I know someone, that kind of blown up in the music scene, and he plays sports. Send him some merch. And I'm like, okay, cool. Send him some merch, and the next thing you know, he's wearing it. His friends that are also athletes and artists start wearing it. So then my brand starts blowing up because he's the face of it. And then also I'm getting people on the back end that are like, I need you to handle my merch. I need you to design for me. Right. So that's when my business started taking off. I was in the basement of my parents' house. They let me rent it. So I'm like building this like 6-figure business. And I'm like, I've outgrown it. Let's go to the city. So I came to St. Louis, started renting a warehouse. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things. And that's why I was on basically on Jefferson, right down like in between that Lee's and the rallies, basically, right? Kind of like hidden away, ducked away. But yeah, literally pack my orders, walk them over to the post office, go back, go to work, and then just go home. But then being on Cherokee Street, that's when I came across the location. And the rest is history with Profield.
Yeah, that's dope. That's a really cool story. So you've been in the game.
Yes.
Profield 2020, like you've been in this game.
What was your old, like, what was that name for that? Like, or not. No, okay.
It's cringe. It's the early 2010s. Like, if you know my name, you could probably Google me and find it out. But like at this point, the focus is on like Profield and the growth of that. Yeah. Because like it was, the time, you know.
It worked at that time. It worked
at that time, right? Yeah. It set the foundation for what Profield is.
And you were doing like drop shipping for other brands. Like, were you handling their websites and stuff like that?
Yeah. So
basically, you were just basically their merch agent, basically.
Like,
and you know, do rev shares and whatnot. Yep. So, because back then, like I think now there's still a need for that, but like now a lot of people have more access. Everybody can download Shopify for $29 a month, but the whole thing is fulfilling.
Yes.
There's two sides of it.
Exactly. Right. There's always a need for that, right? And where I came into play was because I also do the design. So when athletes and artists would come to me, it's a one-stop shop. I can design it, I can get it printed, I can ship it out for you. So it was seamless because most of them try to start that stuff like their family and friends, and then it just gets out of hand or it's just not ran well. So with me having the expertise, it just worked. So and I still do kind of that on the back end a little bit here on a local level. I take some orders from like family and friends still, but it's not like a big part of the business because Profield is a thing, but
it's just something to help people out. And then you've done collabs with artists and community members and stuff like that, and the city soccer team.
Yes.
So 20 plus years in the industry, like you've been doing this for a while. So like you started Profield in 2020. How did that previous experience like help you? Because like you already had this gauge on the market that not everybody had. So how did that help you?
How did it help me? So basically, not that I knew what any of the like I said, I was ducked off while I was here. So I didn't really know about any of the other brands, right? But I just knew like my aesthetic worked for 7 years previously. I just look at things differently from working in the shoe store to being, I would call myself a former athlete, right? Like grew up playing sports my whole life. When you play sports, you're a t-shirt, hoodie, hat person, right? Most of the time, any event, you're getting tossed a t-shirt. You're getting tossed a hoodie, something. So like, that's how I just dressed. And I think that's just kind of, if you played sports, that's just kind of ingrained in your closet.
Yeah.
Right? Just
that's
wearing that stuff.
Still to this day.
And we just continue to wear that. But that's also ingrained in just everyday society wear too. Like, and I was thinking about this on the drive over here, right? Like even people that are wearing the most fashionable things, high-end dresses and the best suit, still go home and put a pair of sweatpants and a hoodie on or a t-shirt, right?
Thanks.
So t-shirts, hoodies, all that stuff, it's not going anywhere. But I think my angle is, how can I still make you feel like you're the best dressed in the room, but you're comfortable?
I love that.
Yeah.
And you've done that. And like even
looks
with me,
good but comfortable.
I remember when I came home with that bag, I'm like, dude, this shit's so dope. You know, and that was like back, like that was probably mid pandemic, and like you were just like over there, and like I just wanted to go take pictures of the store.
So transitioning, like getting your storefront on Cherokee, and like you had no concept or idea. So when did that come into play for you? I mean, clearly you're taking art that you love, you're taking, you know, fashion that you love, and it's working. And so when did that come to you?
So basically I started with the name, right? Like I keep a book where I just keep notes, right? And it's a process. I would say for me the process is indulge and sit with yourself, right? And then also with whoever is there with you. You just start writing down. I tell people, when you're going to name a business, nobody has to know how you got there. So just start writing everything down, because something will start clicking. So a lot of people are like, I don't know about that name. Write it down, right? Because it was like, I wrote down like professional, wrote down field over here, and then I was like, Profield, and then I had something written like reserve, and I was like, Profield Reserve, and I was like, ooh, that sounds good. And then for someone that, as far as like the marketing, branding, advertising side of it, and to be findable on social media, on the internet, you want it to all kind of be seamless. So as soon as I seen profieldreserve.com was open, the social, everything on social media, I go, boom, snag it all up and get the URL, trademark it. Yeah, all mine. So anything you type in Profield Reserve on we even got a TikTok. We don't post on TikTok.
You just have it.
But like we have it, right? And when that time comes, because, with
That's
so many
work.
social media outlets, you're stretched so thin. So it's, but at least I locked it down, even though it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. Remind me of the question again. I don't know if I fully have answered
you did.
it.
I was just, when did the idea and concept come to you? After you got the storefront?
Yeah, after I got the storefront. I think we were going to call it something like Stock STL or something like that. And then I was like, so also me, I always go into businesses thinking of, if I want to big box this, can I take this out of St. Louis, right? Which I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's very like, it's homegrown at this point.
Right.
I don't know if it makes sense anywhere else, but it could.
Oh, yeah.
I think of all businesses that way. Name it in a way that you can scale it. I didn't want to pigeonhole myself just to being in the St. Louis market, because now I can open a Profield Reserve in Indianapolis. I can go to Detroit. I can go to Columbia. I can go to Chicago. I can go to Nashville, wherever I want to go,
It's
right?
the same concepts.
Exactly. Same concepts.
Do you want to? Do you want to expand in other directions?
If it makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I can't do it on my own, right? But
Yeah.
if the right entities come along, or the right support system around me happens, it can happen. But like, this has been very much just bootstrapped from day one, right? We started Profield with like a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
Like,
And like with that knowledge of the design aspect, obviously helped you a lot, because a lot of people have to pay for that.
Yeah.
So being able to just slap designs, and like your designs, it's not like, a lot of them are very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple.
It's simplistic, and that's why it's so clean, right?
Yeah.
Like there's that fashion element to it. Like
It's you want it to age gracefully.
yes, the colors, the color scheme.
You see what a lot of people are currently wearing, but also what are they diving for now at the thrift stores and the vintage stores? And this has been going on before I even started Profield. So I seen kind of like what the high schoolers were after, what they're wearing. Like I'm a lurker online, right? So I'm paying attention to what everyone's wearing, what they're into, and I'm like, oh, these kids get it. Like they're after like the CDs and the cassettes now, and they're buying record players, and they're into like vintage fashion and simplicity, right? So it was like foresight as to fashion eventually is going to come back to what it used to be, kind of, right? So I'm very intentional with my designs, because I'm not chasing trends. I don't chase trends. I don't follow any other brands. I don't look at any other brands. I could care less what they're doing. All these designs are based off what I'm into or the environment that is around me, right? So, but I design in a way that looks like something that was made in the past, right? Like you see some brands make an attempt at making something look old, vintage. Sometimes they miss the mark. I would think I've hit the nail on the head,
right?
But also in a modern way, right? So I don't know.
Because like you were saying with this, like the South City basketball, like right here, like I'm sure somebody has something like this in their closet from the 80s. It looks similar to the league that they played
like a club, that they were in.
And like people are wearing college tees that they didn't even go to college there.
Yes.
Like we're not actually from St. Louis City, but like we love rocking stuff because we live in South City.
Exactly.
Like I love
That's
this
home now.
Because when people ask me about this, I get to tell them about my neighborhood in Southampton or wherever, like I get to talk about, where I'm from, like, or where I live at. So
let's talk about some of of the merch that you have,
Yeah.
like in the pictures that you
Yeah.
choose.
Yeah.
So this brown tee, this is just Benton Park. This is right around the corner from the Cherokee Street store, right? This picture was actually initially taken for our field day last fall with the YMCA. We partnered with YMCA, and we're able to bring non-traditional sports to the forefront for the community, right? So that day consisted of, we were able to bring out a golf instructor. We were able to bring out a tennis instructor. They had laser tag. They opened up the basketball court. They pulled up some food trucks. Food was paid for in advance. And they just created a day for the community, right? And nobody had to pay a dime. And then these kids that maybe, you're in the city, you don't got access to a golf course. You don't got access. You got access to a tennis court, but do you got a tennis racket? You got a tennis ball? Are you seeing the people around you actually play it that look like you?
Right.
So my biggest initiative since then has been, let's get these non-traditional sports like a spotlight, because we may have the next Tiger Woods here in St. Louis. We may have the next Venus and Serena, right?
Yeah.
So let's put these like non-traditional things in front of them and see what happens. So I hope to continue to start doing more of that with the YMCA, but if it's not with the YMCA, we're just going to build it out ourselves. That's the goal, is to just really just get people out the house and get their kids exposed to something other than football, basketball, baseball, right? So,
and we talked about it when we first met a couple of years ago. You had mentioned like eventually like a goal of yours, and this might have changed, but like pro field courts and pro field leagues, and like so like that's because you do the tennis rackets. You just dropped the marathon, like running, yeah, but like you have tennis rackets on clothes that people that never even played tennis, like that stuff's crazy. And it looks dope though. Like I like want to wear it. It has the two rackets on it, and like the marathon, like we run, but we're not runners like that.
We're not marathon ready. I'll say that.
Yeah.
We're like 5K ready.
Yeah, we're 5Kers.
And I think the way I envision Profield, what it's kind of turned into is like, I'm creating something for people that don't really get stuff created for them, right? You can go to a tennis store, right? But are they actually offering something that's like casual that you can like wear and feel good about? You like, we're in that age of everything's like dry fit. Even you go into these team stores for like, you go into the Cardinal Stadium, you go to City Park Stadium, and it's like everything is like they want you to dress like you're gonna go on the field and play. So I, like I said, a good high quality just t-shirt,
Comfort.
a good comfortable piece that just you can just filter into your everyday life, right? You put it in your closet, and hopefully it turns into your favorite sweater.
Right.
So
no, I love that. So you've been able to build community around your brand, and I think that that's something that we try to do with our brands, is like we don't actually necessarily have a product, but we're just community builders, so that if we were to introduce a product, then people would get around because they're not buying from Chris, but like they're buying from the community of like when you see another Profield hat at the gym and it's, some dude that like you're out at the gym in Winsville.
I always recognize.
Like our friends out in Winsville are rocking these in Club Fitness and like, but like you're building community. So tell me, like, was that always a focus of yours, or did you see quickly you're like, how can I use the knowledge from sports and music, because those are communities, and how can I actually do that in my neighborhood?
Yeah. So community just kind of happened. I don't think because I didn't know anyone up here, right? So I'm just kind of up here with my family, kind of doing my thing. I didn't even know the art scene existed here. I didn't really know anything about like the fashion scene, nothing. Like literally head down, working. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, community happened on accident, because when we opened up Profield at first, it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, right? And then we started getting a little bit of buzz, because like the whole city came to like a screeching halt. Like there's no crime, there was no sports going on, there was like no new food restaurants opening. So whatever was like just currently opening or existing that was still like kind of operating, it benefited us, because like the news were like, well, no one's doing anything. There's a new store on Profield on Cherokee Street called Profield Reserve. So you start getting this like media buzz, right? just because we're open during the pandemic. Yes, we were shut down during the 2 months. We were actually supposed to open up in the March of 2020. We didn't get to open up till May. But then we started getting on the radar of the artists, like the independent, like small artists. We're like, we kind of like what's going on over here. Like we like what they're like making, what they're doing. So they just one by one started coming through. And I'm a very open-minded person. So like, we all know Sir Eddie C. Eddie, right? He was the first to kind of like, I think he saw something in me. He was like, I could pitch something to this guy and he may receive it, right? Because we know Eddie comes up with some of like the best ideas. Event that is well-rounded from top to bottom. So he was like, hey, let's do something with music. And I'm like, I think we could attach some merch to it. We could kind of almost do like a concert in the middle of the pandemic where people don't even have to attend. So he had some music he was wanting to put out. So we pre-recorded it, attached some merch to it, put it on YouTube, rolled it out. And then we just opened up the store and people came through and bought it. And then here came the next artist, right? So I'm starting to meet all these amazing artists. Like, I don't think people know how great the music is here in the city, that some of these people don't even readily get access to these stages or like even venues, like especially the hip hop scene here. Like half the time the doors just kind of slammed in their face. So I look like them, they look like me. I'm open-minded. It's like, well, let's get to work, right? So after Eddie, several other artists came along and we worked together, hand in hand, whether it be making music, putting the music out, doing merch.
Hosting an event,
right? Like I've held tech events within the space. I've held, oh my Lord, it's
so many different ones.
Yeah, so many different ones. It's hard to like pinpoint. Like
you did the magazine drop there with Search Party.
Yes, did the Search Party magazine drop. I think did meet and greets. Jordan had his whole thing there. You know, his first performance back here in the city when he did it at Blueberry Hills. So we were able to host like a 1 week long pop-up shop for him. Converted the whole store to be basically like, what would this look like if Jordan Ward was here, right? So, and we did. It was amazing, right? So we're able to offer things like that and kind of become this like hub and this resource for people that aren't really getting that spotlight that they justly deserve in the city. So it was kind of like that perfect storm of like someone that came along that didn't know anybody, and maybe that's what helped, because like when I tell people like I didn't know anybody,
right? So
I didn't have any preconceived like thing on anyone.
You could
come.
Like,
I was just open. Like, you got a great idea, your work ethic is there,
right?
Let's do something.
Right.
Now I've learned the city is very big but very small. Yeah. So now I can kind of like
pick and choose your partnership.
Pick and choose, right?
It's different now.
It is different. It is different.
But the community stays the same though.
Yes.
But like you built the community on accident just by saying yes.
Yes.
Just by being open. You could have been like, nah, bro, like I got it. I just opened, like, you know, and then you never know that if you wouldn't have taken that first opportunity with Eddie, like where your business would be. Because
exactly.
You're now every hip hop show you go to, every like show at Sophie's, like everybody's got the hats on, everybody's got the merch on. So, you know, from 30,000 feet, it looks like you're crushing it. But I know there's ups and downs when it comes to business. So I want to, you know, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I never get to talk about like all the ups and downs only in private, but whatever you're willing to share, like tell people like, you know, some ups and downs of entrepreneurship. I mean, you've been at it with the store for 3 years now.
But,
but really entrepreneurship, 13,
that.
20.
Yeah. So the ups and downs is, I think really building a team and also like self-care, right?
I think self-care, I love that you said that, because not a lot of guests, and no disrespect, but that's not talked about.
Yeah. Because that's something like, even though I bring it up, it's something I still struggle with, right? Because when you're still kind of running and operating it, like you're also the employee, which I am, right? Like it's a small business. I went and packed orders today before I came here, right? Self-care. That's a big one, right? Because like sometimes you may develop health issues, right? You don't sleep well, you ain't eating right, you're kind of just up and down every day. Stress. Like it is not easy running a small business. I don't want people to get fooled thinking that like everything is just like great, because it's not. Like, let's be realistic. Like, everything falls on your shoulders if it's laid at your feet. So even from the perception of the community, you got to keep your name clean in this city. Like we just said, it's a big city but a small town, right? So even just that. But yeah, having the right team around you too is so important. Like, people that you can trust to log into your accounts, right? Someone that you can say, hey, we're not to this point yet, but at some point, someone's probably going to take over social media for me, right? Like, there's things that like I have to find the right people. I've got a great team right now, and as we kind of figure out what their strengths are, then we're able to continue to scale the business. But right now, it's kind of like slow and easy. But I would rather be that way so you have a very strong foundation.
That's right.
You know, I'm sure people are like, well, why don't you do this for the online store and do this and that? And it's like, well, listen, that's my bread and butter. We'll get to that. Well, you know, when time is due. We're still trying to figure out how to run the front of a shop and a brick and mortar, because we could shut it down and just do online sales and be just fine. But there's still, obviously there's a need for what Profield is offering as far as like a tangible item that you can walk into
Experience.
right? So we're still trying to figure that out, right? It's like, what does this look like if I'm out of the shop and employees running it, right? Do the standards still stay there? Is the customer service still on point? So these are things that we're all learning together, because it's not like there's an infrastructure there like when I used to work at Finish Line. You know, you don't have a general manager, you don't got someone at the top that's telling you. It's literally just me. And yes, do I have the experience from retail? Yes, but like all the back end stuff,
it's a lot for one person to wear. It's a lot of hats. And then like, just thinking of now, it's like, now it's tax time. Now there's all these other things that you have to do. All these investments. Like, when you drop a new line and it flops, which, you know, happens. I mean, at the beginning, you were like, dude, this is crazy. Like, everything's selling out. But like, now you're probably sitting on stuff for a long time.
Absolutely.
A lot of money invested out. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Chris, you're probably killing it, bro. And you're like, yeah, but no. You know?
You have to be calculated, right? There's certain times of the year you've got to know. And that's something also we're learning, right? Is like the ebbs and flows of the city and the times of the year. You know, you're the best thing that's like the best thing smoking, right? And the first year or two, and everyone's like, I can't get enough. But then you start becoming a part of just the everyday life of the city. And so every cell matters. Like, we're still good. Like, we're not going to be going out of business or anything, but you're not the newest, hottest thing. So how do you continue to keep people engaged, coming in to the store, and even supporting as you scale the business and improve things, right? Like, you start with a $15, $17 tee back when you started, but now you're up to a $40 tee. But it's part of the process, right? Is offering something that just isn't here in the city. And that's always kind of been a goal of mine, is to just, what boundaries can I push, and what is the city willing to I guess watch or see happening in front of them, right? Because we're literally building this business along with the community, with the city. Like, they've literally watched us since day one. So yeah, there's times where things like will sell out, and there's times where something will sit. But the good thing about like just like our everyday stuff that we sell, like we read at the very beginning, everything's made in a small batch. Sometimes I only make 10, 15 of something. So we're not really ever sitting on stuff, right? Like, I may be sitting on some 314 day stuff, but that's because it's 314 day, right?
A huge order for it.
Yeah, you make a huge order. But other than that, we're really actually able to control all of our inventory. So if I come up with a new design, like the soccer one behind you, I think we maybe printed 8 of those and dropped them this past weekend just to see what they do. And people loved them, right? So then you're able to put it online. You're able to take orders and restock the store until you notice like people are kind of over it. So the biggest thing for us is, because we have in-house production and I'm able to do the designs, because I'm able to I literally can come up with the design within a few hours. I can have it on a product within a week. And on the sell
see what it looks like, you know, put it up, hang it up, be like, I don't like that.
Exactly.
Throw it out. Or it's one of your shirts that you sleep in, or like something at the crib.
Yeah.
You probably got a bunch of shirts that you never dropped. That's interesting, because I bought, like, when I've done merch, I'd go to like a shirt Kong or a Left Hand, and they'd be like, well, it's cheaper if you buy 300. So I get it down to like $7 a shirt. And then I'd be sitting on, I got 6 boxes of shirts in my office.
Many
because I don't sell merch.
I'm giving them to my students now. I'm like,
we're losing money. It's just another thing. And I'm like, I'll never do merch. Like, that's why I give it up to and I hate to say merch because it was merch for me because it's like fan merch, but it's, you know, it's your clothing line. I don't know. What's the proper way to say it? Your brand?
Your apparel.
Your apparel. Yeah. Because I know merch is like just like a one-off thing. So that's like.
But no, like
we've done it.
Of course, we've had designs flop, right? But thankfully, like with just our regular stuff, we're able to control that, right? And if something don't work, it either comes home with me, or I toss it to an employee, or sometimes at the end of the year, I know every year since we started, anything kind of like left over, we just find somewhere in the city to just donate it because we don't run sales.
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna get into this thing to where it's like new stuff just dropped and it's 50% off already. Like that does me no good. It does the company no good. So like if we are sitting on things, it gets filtered through the community.
That's great because then people just wait for a sale. Then
exactly,
you know.
Yeah, I said as far as right now in 3 years, we've never ran a sale.
So quick question about you talked about pricing a little bit, and like I remember when you first started, I was like, I can't believe these shirts are like $19-20. So as you gradually increase the pricing, that's as you gradually grew the business, and people understand because you're like, it used to be just you and a couple people in the lower rent and
but
Cherokee.
Also like look at the world, everything. I mean, you have to keep up.
Yeah.
Did you get any flack from that at all?
No, because the quality of the product kept improving. Okay. It wasn't like I kept the same tee or the same like cut of things or even the same like hats. Like everything is continuously being improved. So with that, and with more staff, with more time, like prices have to be adjusted. But when people really know like all the work that goes into literally getting a t-shirt or something on the sales floor, and then they experience the quality in person, like people really have not had any issues. I think I had like one guy that was like, people really buy $80 pair of sweatpants as he's buying them for his daughter. I'm like, your daughter wants them.
Speaking of sweats,
and yes,
I love
they do.
your pants.
And yes, they do. And like you go to Nike, Under Armour, you're spending $120 for joggers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Those are hard.
I love those.
And that's what I say, right? Is just because we're a small business doesn't mean that we can't command a premium price.
Right.
Just because we've got a store down on Cherokee Street and we're a very small infrastructure doesn't mean that we can't command the prices that, say, a Nike or Under Armour do. Because there's several brands out there that are selling stuff at a lower price point, mid price point, high price point. You got to pick and choose where you want to be and then just live with it. Because there's a customer for every price point. Yeah, you're going to get the customer that comes in and is like, I'm not paying that. But it's like, I understand. I'm not forcing you to buy it, but someone will come buy that. Yeah. And it does. So you just have to have faith in your pricing and just stand by it.
And
to
then
be
your
honest
product,
with you.
Because
people are out here, some people can only afford a $10,000 car, but someone will go to a lot and buy a car that's $150,000. Right. There's different tax brackets.
That's right.
And we're in a culture now where young kids are spending so much money on shirts. Like I could not imagine being 18 years old in high school and spending $80 on a Supreme shirt, waiting online and like making my life around if I could get the drop. It's crazy.
Yes.
I just think that there's this. I think that there's this newfound like
hype beast. I call it hype beast.
On fashion. Like you want to have what's different. You want to be the first to have something. It's just we've
been selling it for years.
Yeah, and you got coming from the shoe industry, right? Like shoes that I used to see collect dust in the sales racks, $20-$30 are now being sold at not even like. I don't even know if to call them shoe stores now, but they're resale shops because like the Finish Lines, Foot Lockers, Champs are kind of becoming extinct. So now like shoes that used to be $80, $90, sometimes on sale for $25, $30 are now $300, $400. And people are buying and shopping within these spaces like the regular price. So it kind of just was like,
if you want it, you're going to make it happen.
Right? And then people are like, we may be in a recession. And it's like, I can't stop the growth or just because of the financial situation some people may be in because someone kept their job. And I'm not trying to but someone still has their job. Someone's still going to shop. So you can't just hit the brakes just because of like whatever's going on in the world. And I think a lot of people maybe don't realize, but as a bit, you just have to keep going. You can't just be like,
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out, because like the world's like in a tailspin right now. It's like, well, this is what pays the bills, and we've just got to push forward.
Yes.
Right.
And if you just stay authentic and true to the vision, and people see the work being put in at a local level, they're gonna come support. But you just have to be like genuine, authentic, and that door has to be open. And also, people need to know that they can come as they are, right? Like, I don't care what you look like, who you love, whatever.
Come in.
Open door policy.
Right.
You want to just come kick it for an hour or two? Please do. I think some people are like, I don't want to go buy because I ain't gonna buy nothing. No, come kick it.
Right.
Like, just come kick it. It's about, like I said, the open door policy. I got people that'll come just to hang out.
You're like a part-time therapist. You're like talking to
I tell
people
all the time, when you are a small business and you have set hours and they know that you're going to be there, you are a therapist. You are a therapist, right? I always joke, like, that's why I have to like work so much like outside of store hours, because people do come.
You can't
just like kick it, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be like,
work done.
yeah, and you can't be like, so I'm gonna go back, because it's part of the community process.
Yeah.
It's part of just like what it is now, and I love it. I enjoy it, right? Like, I love when people come visit me, because even as a small business and brick and mortar, those four walls actually become your own prison sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing the same, you're seeing home, you're seeing work, maybe you're seeing the UPS office, you're seeing like the UPS guy, and then a few other, but like most of the time, you're in the same environment every day, in and out. So
come in. You're like, come see me.
Yeah, come visit. Yeah.
And a lot of times you might be, there with one or maybe one other person, but then even then you're with another person. You're like, man, I just want to be alone right now. So it's like you have all these things that go through your mind when that. So
I have a question that's a little not as light, I'll say. In terms of race, right, and representation in St. Louis, like, do you feel this sense of pressure or pride in being a Black-owned business?
I feel a sense of pride.
Yeah.
I mean, even with like the project with City Soccer, I'm kind of getting to kick off that team shop with them, right? And I haven't even had a chance, because, it's just life and running a business. You don't have time to celebrate your wins. So like, yes, amazing to be in that team shop, and the whole project, like, we knocked it out the park, but I still haven't really got to sit with it. But I still have to realize that like it was a Black-led business that was able to kind of kick that door open and be able to create a collection for them, and then to be the first to do it in that team shop, and then to create an entire section. Like, that just doesn't happen. And there's only so many MLS teams in the world, right? So I got to open that, not really open the team shop, but as far as like a local brand that they worked with hand in hand, we were the first. It blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah,
like, if you would have told Chris back in the day when he's sitting there sketching stuff out of like a Sports Illustrated and
feeling like I'm an outsider in this community.
Right? And I'm to create an entire collection as a Black male, it's crazy, right? Because they could have went to anybody, right? Like, we don't have like the biggest like following on social media. Like, we're very we keep it low key. We kind of, if you know about us, you know about us. But yeah, that pride of being Black and accomplishing the things that we're accomplishing and able to get into some of these rooms, because I see it as a way I can get more people that look like me in these rooms now.
Right.
Because let's keep it real. Sometimes they may see it as risky to have us in the room. Well, here I am. I did a phenomenal job for you. There was no issues. There's a million other just like me.
Yeah.
Let them in the door.
And the fact that it's soccer, like, it's just this all like come together. So was that an aha moment then? Like that moment, or did you have one before that? Or was that pretty much like the tip of the iceberg? Like, whoa, like, this is real.
Probably like the biggest like accomplishment as far as like Profield. But that aha moment, like when I was like, oh, the city's really embraced us, was probably last year's 314 day. It was nuts. I mean, it was like shoulder to shoulder all day long. Merch completely sold out. Store was basically empty.
Wow.
So it kind of starts clicking like, oh, like the city is really tapping in, and they're gonna be along for like the ride. So like that's why I say like you gotta keep your name clean out here, because like a lot of people are watching, and a lot of people know more about you than you know about them, and they know more. Let me put it this way. More people know about me than I know about them, because I'm within the business. I work, I
They're
go
watching
home,
and
but they're
waiting.
watching.
Yeah.
People come in all the time. They're like, I've been watching for a while. I'm from St. Louis. I live in Texas now, but I'm back in town. I've been trying to shop in here for like the last 2 years,
Yeah.
and I'm finally in town, right?
Mhm.
So every post, every tag, every shirt, hat that is out there in the community,
Mhm. It all matters.
it all matters.
Mhm.
And I think that you're right about that, as like people watching. So like I used to shoot my shot at all these brands and all these organizations and like try to like, hey, I could benefit you. And then I stopped and I just worked. And then now they're knocking on our door.
Yes.
And now we have leverage because we're like, well, it was like, where were you when I was shooting in the gym?
Man, that's
like,
been going through my head a lot lately.
because like
right?
I was shooting in the gym the first time I met you, we were at like 25,000 followers. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm trying to build this community page. Now we're at 120.
Yep.
Now we have leverage. We have power. We're the biggest social media page in St. Louis.
Mhm.
So it's like, how can we help you? How can you help me? So it's like now it's like, and same with you. And it's not even from a cocky
No,
or
tell
standpoint.
'em.
Like
I
I'm
mean, but
very
for
humble,
real.
but I'm like, now we have value, and I don't want to undersell. Like I don't want to do a partnership with this brand because I really don't believe in them. But if 2 years ago, I probably would have for a bag.
Yes.
It's changed. Everything's
Yeah.
changed because you see there's worth.
Yes.
Right? Like, and starting this was not the end game. There was no
Yeah.
it was just fun,
It was a
and
hobby.
it's grown, and now we see opportunity. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? Like you have to take advantage of the opportunities, because things do start shifting and changing, right? Like everything's kind of, you start a business to start a business. I don't go into them thinking like, oh, this is just something cool to do. No, like this is like my livelihood on the line, because this
My
is
life.
what I do 40 hours a week, right? I don't
More than
get
that.
to, yeah, right?
no
I don't
playing
get to
around.
do anything else outside of, as far as like, I don't have another part-time job or a full-time job to pay my bills. Like
Mhm.
for me to grow Profield, I have to be in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I average about $5 an hour right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of it. But I know I'm gonna recoup that on the back end.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be strategic about what you say yes to now. Like I used to say yes to everything back in the day, in the first few years, but then I realized I was overworking myself. Maybe some of the projects didn't get to the point where I wanted it to get, because with lack of time, lack of communication.
Mhm.
Who also, when you agree to collab with someone, sometimes people don't even let you collab.
Wow.
Like they take the reins, and it's like,
I thought this
okay,
was-
like I don't know who's shooting this for you. I don't know who's doing it. Like
Like,
it's
this
just
stuff all matters.
yeah, like this stuff all matters. Like if Profield's involved, like I want to be involved, right? So now it's to the point, it's like this has got to be a 50-50 thing, right? And the collabs now have become like more high level,
Yeah.
right? So like the next few are like people that I would have been like, they'd never came knock on our door,
Mhm.
but now they are,
Yeah.
right? And
These
I
are
would,
unreleased stuff that you've been working on.
and I would say that's probably due to, because of all like the amazing events and successful events we've done. But City Soccer was probably like the thing that like people are like, ooh.
Bro, people went crazy on that. And like when I saw the video, and like the fact that they posted that like vintage looking video on their clean and not like it's not clean, but it was like they posted it and like dropped the bag, and then it just said like coming soon. Like the fact that they did that, and this shout out to the soccer team first and foremost, because they've been getting behind Mastermind, all the community, and they've like,
They have done a great job handpicking who is a part.
Absolutely.
and hopefully the Cardinals and Blues, I don't know if they're going to take anything from them, but they would be smart to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You
right. There's other
It's getting kind of
entities-
dry over there.
There's other entities I would love to work with, but like we were just talking about in the last, I'm not hunting people down. I'm not in their DMs. I'm not like,
Yeah.
hey, did
shooting
you see
shots.
what I just did with City? It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's and like you said, it's the leverage,
Mhm.
right? Like you wait for someone to come knocking on your door, because at the end of the day, if they want Profield to be a part of it, it's got to be viewed as like a Profield item. It it's got to be viewed in a light where like people understand or know that it's Profield off rip, right? But if I don't really get the control that I'm kind of desiring, then I'm kind of like,
You're out.
you don't really
Not
have
gonna work.
access to me.
And most people now probably know that, and they probably just like, yo, go crazy. And like,
yeah,
you know.
and that's one of the things too, is like I just got to have the control. I know this sounds,
no, it doesn't.
I don't know if
sound
it's egotistical, but like you
no.
just got to give me the control.
This is your life. You
because
said.
I see things just differently, obviously, right? Because my stuff doesn't look like anybody else's in the city. So if you're coming to me, you're just gonna have to let me cook.
Yeah.
Just stay out the way.
Yeah.
Give me the parameters and let me cook. And if I got questions, answer them, and I'll get back to work. But yeah, I just believe in like myself and my work ethic, and I don't really need someone to hold my hand because I've been doing this. So if it's a high level project, like my name's attached to it, you're gonna get the best out of me. So yeah,
you're gonna get 100%.
You've been spitting all facts on this.
I know,
episode.
man.
For
Like,
real.
dude, like we're gonna cut up some clips for sure
mean,
out of this.
so-
but this is dope.
So many good clips to take for sure.
I got a couple more questions. You know, I want to talk about, you know, you're not originally from St. Louis, so that's actually really unique in the fact of like this question that I like to ask people is like just in a short, you know, a short answer, like what does St. Louis mean to you?
oh man,
I mean, it could be long too, but just like a quick like
home.
Yeah.
Never really had a home.
Yeah.
From being adopted to being like the alien dropped down into the
Yeah.
small city, and you're looking around, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
No one looks like me. Like I said, no one's ended the same. Like,
Yeah, it's a culture.
what
shock
is
for
going
sure.
on?
Yeah.
Right? So I tell people, even though I've been here for 10 plus years, just in the last 3 I'm figuring out who I am.
Yeah.
I'm figuring out what I want to do with like the rest of my life. I'm creating like long-term relationships with people. You know, yeah, I had my friends growing up and stuff, but like those were kind of always just like forced upon me, right? Because it's just like you're the kid that's
Your
at this
environment.
school and whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's like I can now start kind of being like, oh, like this person is very much like me, or I'm interested in getting to know more about this person because
I
like
can learn from that
I can
person.
learn from them.
Yeah.
And it's authentically like I now have that choice, whereas it, you know, things being forced upon me. So yeah, St. Louis is home. Like this is where I will grow old and
Amazing.
retire.
That's dope. So St. Louis is home. So we talked about a little bit about future goals. So like you probably have this stuff in your head, but like I never try to put a year number at it, but like in a perfect, like what would success in St. Louis look like to you? Like would it be more locations? Would it just be a bigger place? Would it just be, you know, like the community, maybe the nonprofit side? Like what would that look like when you're, let's just say 50, you know, 10 years from now?
Yeah. So what does Profield look like down the road? So definitely a store. Whether it be the one on Cherokee or another location somewhere else, right? Because there's goals of like expanding the line, right? Just the selection. I mean, I'll give you kind of what I envision it, right? Because we are, with being on Cherokee Street, I see the lack of things that I want to bring down there. So we've got tennis courts down there. We've got basketball courts. We've got racquetball courts. We've got fields that people play soccer. Where do you go get sports equipment? Nowhere.
There used to be a Dig Sports Authority.
You got to
Not
go
even
out
there.
to the
Yeah,
South
you gotta
County.
go to Galleria at the
You
farthest.
got to go to the mall.
Yeah.
You either got to order it.
Yeah.
So Profield ends up becoming like your urban Dick's Sporting Goods, footwear, equipment, then your own line within it, right?
Yeah.
So
Fire.
Profield starts building out its lifestyle, its outdoors, its athletic line. So you start, boom, right? You can have a Profield Reserve tennis racket. You can have a Profield Reserve
golf clubs.
That'd
be
right?
fire.
So
I'd rock this shit out.
Yeah.
that's basically what I see, what I envision. That's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of resources, but we can get there. But I'm in no rush to get there, right? Like that's the dream.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm cool with like how things are going. But like if someone was like, "Here's all the money in the world, and we'll stay out the way and build it how you want," Yeah,
That
it
would
would be probably like a modern like Dick's Sporting Goods, basically.
Because those are dying, and it's just the access to it, and it's something that looks good. Like when I went, I don't golf that much, but we went on a golf trip, and I'm like, let me go to the Golf Galaxy, and I'm like, what's the dopest shoes? I got the Jordans,
Yeah.
I got it's like the Nike golf shoes, I got the Nike golf gloves, because I'm like, I don't want to wear this Callaway brand. I don't even know this brand. So at least it's something recognizable. But then to piggyback off that, then you could also like sponsor leagues, sponsor teams. Like you could be the Profield Reserves or whatever they're called. But like,
so basically,
Little League.
kind of like right now,
kids wearing
like
the P's, that'd be fire.
what I'm currently like working on, right? Like we have this product in the store that's called PAC. It's the Profield Athletic Club, right? And also big picture, there'd be like athletic clubs. But right now we have all these fields, courts that are basically being unused. But I talk to a lot of people that come through my doors, and I'm like, did you used to play sports? Yes. Where do you play? I don't got anyone to play with. Why? I just don't know anyone. Either my friends moved away, I just moved here, I'm interested in playing, I've never played, right? So then you start using the already existing infrastructure in the city, and you start facilitating the things. So you have people coming in, or they share with me on Instagram, they can DM me and just say, hey, we hoop every Sunday at 5 at this park. It's clean, it's safe. We need a few extra guys. So then I can start building out basically a public athletic club. So I can now filter people to golf courses, tennis courts, basketball courts, gyms, wherever it may be, right? Marathons. So all these like, all these entities out here that have the tennis courts, whatever, tap in with us because I'm ready.
You can be like, hey, here's the schedule. Like if there was a basketball game going on, I was free on a Sunday, like boom.
Exactly. So that's
we need
kind of
that. We need that.
The girl that we had, Allison, last week, she owns she's founded a nonprofit called City League, and it's a nonprofit that works with charter schools and middle schools, and she runs the leagues for those schools because they didn't have any teams. The kids couldn't even if they wanted to play sports, they could not play sports. So she's just doing 8 charter schools, but I need to connect you with her because that could be an opportunity where maybe you help them with their jerseys or you help them with because they're playing soccer, volleyball, not baseball yet. Basketball. But these are kids, and now they're all playing together
from different schools. So like you go to this school, you go to that.
They couldn't fill out a team, so now 3 schools are one team. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And why I envision this with Profield kind of being like that, like middleman, it's selfishly, it's for me too.
Yeah.
Like someone that used to play sports, but I've been so entrenched in like what I've been doing that I'm like,
I'd love to be around
I miss hooping, right? I miss doing this, that, but I'm like, who's even doing it, right?
And who are you going to go hoop? Like you're just going to go randomly go to Love Bank Park and like go hoop with some random guys. But like if it was a community, and there was a Discord channel or some crazy, like the technology would be so different where it's like,
can we
your
create
website
this into a almost like a social event too, right? Like some people just want to pull up
and sit down.
Can I get a specific food truck to pull up for me every Sunday, right? Like I know a guy that shout out to Frank, pull up with some bagels and some coffee, right? Like I want to build out something as far as like almost like a tennis association through the Benton Park like courts, right? So it's just us just building it ourselves. So we just start saying like, okay, in these cooler months, every Sunday at this time, we're going to meet. And I've got someone volunteering their time, but we would love to pay them too. So how do we do this as well, right?
So join a monthly club? Or...
Exactly. So you pull up, you get fed, you learn some tennis lessons, and you build community through that. We're not expecting you to become some expert and be on some like tournament like in the next 6 months. It's more or less just like bring the family, learn a skill set, let's have some fun.
And you go to like suburban neighborhoods and like, these people grew up playing tennis, they grew up skiing, they grew up playing all these sports. And then like, you go to the city and I'm like, born around, like there's no public pools. Like, I'm like, I want to go swimming. I got to go buy a hotel pass to go swimming. It's $45.
More than that.
So like, I was just thinking of that. Like we have 300,000 people in the city. We don't have one public pool. Like I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know.
Not that I know
but
of.
It's who's facilitating that information. And I feel like that's where like Profield can come in, right?
Yeah.
But, you need time to build that out.
That's
so that's kind of like
that's
over like the next, couple months. Years is just like people know that they can kind of give us that information, and we can organize it for them,
Yeah,
right?
and you could do the graphics and make it look dope. Because
Exactly.
these people now,
Yeah.
when I see somebody do a graphic and it's like they do an Instagram story and then they screenshot it and that's their graphic, I'm like, bro, go on Canva, throw a nice font on there or something.
Absolutely.
No, but that's dope. So,
Yeah.
do you have any more questions? I have one.
I had one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, just with you like giving so much insight to your journey, your experience, what would you say to a kid who wants to start their, like an young entrepreneur? What would you say? What advice would you give?
Do it your way. Because obviously, if you have a way you want to do it, you're obviously not finding it in something else.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a lane you can attack. It may seem niche, but your perspective of it may become global, right? So without Profield and me being a little kid and being involved in the things I do and the things that I'm doing now, I don't know. You know, I'm going to change whatever part of the world and everything with whatever we get involved with. Like it's a blip on the map, right? Of like the overall everything going on. But if I can shift something in a positive way and do it my way, that's what I would tell people. Just do it your way and kind of shut the noise out, because a lot of people are going to come and, you know, we hear this all the time. They're going to say, you sure that's going to work? Are you sure that's not a little too dialed in? Maybe it should be a little more. But I would say just do it your way and add the skill set that you need by just getting involved in like the aspects that it takes to run a business, right? Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't know how to run a front of a shop or know how to even the customer service of running a shop without working in a finish line, right? Mm-hmm. I'm the one that's selling you the insoles and the cleaner every single time, right? I know how to stock a stock room. I know how to do a return and exchange. Mm-hmm. I know how to handle a disgruntled customer. So I would tell people I even worked at a Steak and Shake. I used to wash dishes at a pasta house, like across the gamut, right? So I would tell people, just work those jobs. Mm-hmm. Learn the skill set, learn how to deal with people and how to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And once you can kind of figure that out, then you start adding those like elements, like, right? Like I don't really think you got to go to college to be successful, but like if that's where you want to go to refine your skill set, then do it. Like it took me 8 years to get out of college. Right? Like, but that's like real. I just kept going because like everyone around me was like, you got to go to college to be successful. But like, I'm like, man, I used actually everything that I learned by working retail and food and all this to create what I'm currently doing. Yeah. I really didn't need college. It just it taught me how to work within like a team. But I also get that with retail as well. Yeah. Like, you know, but you know, college, it was a great experience. Like I learned some programs, I made some great friends, but at the end of the day, take the path that's best for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think now, like with the information that we have available to us, like there really is, you know, like I'm starting to figure out what I love to do, you know, instead of trying to do everything, which I did a couple years ago. I was just like, let me just get everything. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. But like, I can learn something. You can learn a new skill in a week. Like if you wanted, like, you know, web design and stuff like that. But like I taught myself web design. I taught myself how to use WordPress. I taught myself how to file tag, like QuickBooks. I taught myself how to do all these things. And, you know, a lot of that stuff's scary and it's daunting.
It is,
you know,
right?
But so is working at the same job and being at the liberty of somebody else.
Exactly.
You know,
and I would say those things that maybe you can't attack personally, that's why I'm saying build the right team, right? Because like, I don't know the last thing about taxes. I don't know the last thing about like coding, right? Mm-hmm. But I know how to do certain things, but also I know how to identify when to bring someone in that can kind of come fine tune it. But yes, like we have access to so much information at our fingertips now that like I have an 11-year-old. I tell him to this day, I'm like, you're smarter than me right now. Mm-hmm. Like kids like down in the basement coding, 3D printing.
Right, doing crazy stuff.
I don't know how
AI,
to do
ChatGPT,
learning
all
Portuguese.
This stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, like these kids are. I mean, she knows. I mean, it's it's scary, but it's also like beautiful to see
Yeah.
like just how like fast at such a rapid pace they are learning, because I can't keep up as a parent. It's like what? Oh, okay.
How do you know?
Cool. Maybe you could teach me how to code one day, right? Well, like we'll never have that time, but it's amazing to just see things are just ever changing at such a rapid pace. But yeah.
And I think we're in a small business revolution. I mean, at least from what I see, is like, and granted, everybody wants to be, it's that whole want to be, you want to put entrepreneur in your bio.
Yeah.
You want to talk about these videos. And I think Gary Vee started it, like all these videos of people talking about stuff. And I'm big on, and I say this in like every podcast, but like listen to people that have what you want and have been where you've been. You know, you can't listen to everybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody's an expert. You know, what have you built? What have you done?
Yep.
So that would be advice that I would give to a young entrepreneur, is just find somebody that's actually done something that you want to do. Whether, you know, it's you with fashion, or if it's somebody with even a construction business or whatever it might be, you know, go work that job, be an entrepreneur inside of a business. And then
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you got to live it to be it, right? You got to throw yourself fully into it. And I very much believe like I love that everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, because if you ask me, even through the pandemic, a lot of old attitudes, old gatekeeping, old businesses, stagnant business ideas kind of fell off, right? You go into the mall, half the store, like 80% of the stores are gone, right? So it's like there's still a need for brick and mortar. There's still a need for like physical retail. And how I see it is like, you come down to Cherokee Street, you're seeing a whole new wave of businesses right now that could operate in a mall, that could operate in a huge market.
Right. Yeah. And it's
we're just the next wave, right?
Yeah.
Like I very much believe that Profield is like a part of like this next wave of like the growth of the city, right? Like we're seeing downtown change right in front of us. And I've been here for 10 years, and it seems like over the last 2-3, I mean, just in this last year, it's like soccer stadium, boutique hotels all over the place. We're getting the Topgolf, a Target downtown. Like things are just getting flipped left and right. And it's like, whoa, we're a part of this.
It's happening, you know?
Yeah.
And Cherokee Street's like an incubator. It's just like a bunch of people, and
it's awesome.
It's incredible. The Style House guy's been crushing it for a long time, Randy and them.
Yes.
And then like just new businesses coming in, like Golden Gym started there. And they're now in the mall, and they're everywhere. They're in like Mall of America. Like they're everywhere. Yeah. You know, and that's the type of brand where you're saying you're building something that can scale. They're building something that's cool, and it's local, and it's fun, and it's empowering, but then it's scale worldwide. You know?
Absolutely.
So last question, the STL bucket list. I know people are going to want to know, you know, you're pretty busy, but I know you're a foodie. You told me you like to go check out new spots, but just give us an idea, like, you know, favorite parks, favorite places to eat, maybe some places to go. I mean, I know you got a list, so.
When you find time where you're going to go celebrate your soccer.
Yeah, when are you going to celebrate that, bro?
So here's my 5, but we can expand on this, right? Yeah. So here's my 5 at least for like spring, summer. Okay, so I still got to catch a soccer game down at City Park. I got to get inside. Like, I've been in it, but I need to be in there for it.
Oh, the energy's crazy.
Right?
It's so fun.
I got to catch a baseball game. I've been so busy the last few years. I just want to I got to get in there and get me a hot dog and a beer.
Get a cold beer.
Like be out there on a hot day and just kind of like put the phone away, right?
Absolutely.
And just enjoy the time with family. That's something I kind of miss. Next one, Tower Grove Park. Tower Grove Park and Forest Park. I am planning on having a little bit more downtime. So with going to these places, now I can be active. I can get some sun on my face. Also, you know, with these picture tees, I got to go attack like Forest Park now. Yeah. Like I've been like going to all these other parks, but like people all the time will look at the stuff I did for like Francis Park. They'll be like, is this Forest Park? I'm like, I ain't made it out there yet. Just to like capture moments that I can, you know, turn into products or ideas or designs. So that's on my radar for this summer. And we already talked about Cherokee Street. It's you just got to come down there to experience, right? I do know, and I may have this wrong, but as far as like per square mileage, just in St. Louis, it has the most Black-owned businesses.
I think that's true. I think I read that too.
So we've got Teatopia, we've got Hop Shop, we got Noir Bookshop, Butter Love is just getting ready to open up a spot in the old button maker
Are
spot.
they?
She
Oh,
just
dope.
announced that.
Yeah.
So
Huge.
amazing, right? Who else we got down there?
You got a couple barbershops I know down towards the
yeah.
other side of it.
We got us. We've got OFSH.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Old Family Smokehouse inside of Fortune Teller. So I would just tell people come down Cherokee Street and spend the day. Bunch of some dive bars have opened up on the more of the higher end, but like they're still kind of the dive bar scale. You've got Limp, you've got all types of stuff. And I apologize if I've forgot anybody.
Oh.
Mesa Home, Ruby Francis, like all the homies. Go eat at a Lane sandwich. But yeah, Cherokee
Amazing.
Street is it's actually where we discovered some of the best Mexican food when we first moved here.
Damn right.
So between my spot is La Valesana.
I was
down
going to
there.
say that's our spot.
And that's a
too.
good spot to
The
spread out with
spicy
the family
shrimp,
too, because
yes.
it's big and it's
Spicy shrimp?
burrito.
really
Okay.
the spicy
Yes.
shrimp.
I'll
What
try
about
that
El
next
Bronco
time.
next door? They got some fire tacos too next door.
El Bronco's dope. That was the first one. That's the first Mexican joint we found, but then I found La Valesana, right?
Valesana.
But then
Ice
there's
cream.
another place that's a little
The
further
cheese
down
dip.
on Gravois. It's called Mariachi's too.
I heard of that, but I haven't been there too.
Big plate, hot, fresh food.
Cinco's coming up. That's gonna be lit. You guys doing
Yes.
anything for that? I mean, you'll.
Yeah.
So it Cinco just keeps getting bigger and bigger and more chaotic. We'll be open with our door open, and we'll just catch that traffic
people
coming
walking
and
back to their
going,
cars
right?
and stuff,
Because
yeah.
there's so many vendors and just so much going on at the other side that like it doesn't even. I know this sounds bad, but it doesn't even make sense to like set up a booth or take because people are just like crammed together.
Anyway. Crazy
there,
So
too.
for us just to be on the kind of like the calmer side for the day, like a lot of people just come in, plug their phone in and just kick it. And
Yeah, and then go back.
you got
out.
people just, it's
Yeah, it's
kind of
hot
filtering people in and out. And then people, grab some stuff before they're heading to the car to leave for the day. So yeah, Cinco's it's a good overall day that we look forward to. Plus it's like, I think it falls on my birthday this year.
Okay.
So Cinco's like,
On
my
the
birthday is
6th?
May 6th.
Oh, I was like, Cinco's
But,
always
like,
May 5th, but
so-
it's actually
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Saturday.
six.
So
It's a
I mean,
celebration.
because Cinco
on a
falls on a Friday, it's gonna be cracking down there
Yeah.
from Friday night all the way through Sunday.
Because
Yeah.
Saturday's the festival, right? Saturday's
Yeah.
the big festival. Sumo wrestling, all the
So it works out for the city because
Yeah.
the city's
Step
a park.
outside on your birthday and get some food and dance
Right?
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Lock this stuff
margarita.
shop up, man. It's
Yeah.
all good. No, I'm just playing, but that's
Take
dope.
care
So
of
what
you.
about like a fine dining spot? Like what's like a date night spot? Have you been like just a spot you've been to?
I don't got time to go to the nice
pressure.
places.
I always like to because I like to figure
He's
out where
like,
they
you
like
gave
to go.
us 20 things, but how
I know, but I'm
about-
always like, what's a
Fine
good?
dining.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
fine, but like what's like I guess like you said, fast casual is like some stuff, but
Okay, so if I actually have time to go like sit down and get a meal, right? I'm probably going to Tucker's.
okay.
I'm gonna go get
Steak.
me a steak, a baked potato. Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
feel good.
Just a good. Yeah. I like those places.
That's that
just
Illinois.
have,
That's that Southern
yeah.
Illinois in you,
It's
bro.
the-
That's steak and potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't grow up with like the fancy fine dining. So like
Yeah.
I'm like steak, potatoes. Like I'm a big I have poor eating habits.
Yeah.
Like I just came from Five Guys
Right.
before this.
I might, hey, you.
Like I
might go to Five Guys after this, actually, because I'm like, that's
We've been
Right.
eating better, but like
Right.
we will, and like we're not big fast food people.
Yeah.
But Five Guys, I don't even think it's fast food. That's like
Yeah.
That's
like,
a
good
quality burger right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So yeah, I wish I had a better diet, but with being a small, you're always just kind of
On
ripping
the
and running.
move.
Yeah,
eating
and then
the
when you
same-
get
What
home,
can I
you don't
get
want to
real
cook.
quick?
You don't want to cook when you get home.
Yeah,
So.
there's times you don't even eat till you get home.
Yeah.
You're running on like 3 cups of coffee, and then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you
I've been
sit and
there.
get home, and then you're like,
I've been there all the time.
I don't think I've eaten, and I'm wired. Right?
I'll get
So-
home at like 5, and she'll get home from school, and I'll be like, I'm like already cooking. She's like, it's early still, and I'm like, I'm hungry.
I know. I'm like,
I'll be
working on,
eating
like-
salami out of the fridge. Like, I don't care what it is, cheese stick, anything. So, dude, appreciate you coming on, Chris. That was an amazing episode, guys. Tap in with Profield. They're always dropping new stuff. We got 6 hats on the table. We got shirts.
All new hats.
Come get some
Corduroy.
swag.
Is that
Yeah,
corduroy?
man.
Yeah. it looks
Yeah, it's
fire.
corduroy.
That's what I'm
Corduroy.
saying. That's like that vintage look. Like,
Got some
Oh, that's
running
the one that
caps
Ricky
here.
was running with
yeah,
right
with
there.
the reflective PR on the front. We got some wool baseball caps. So like I said, the product's always steady improving. Like, yes, it's
some of these
stuff
are
that's
like-
going to last you 10, 20, 30 years. Like, this ain't stuff that you're going to, wear once and and it goes bad on you.
This is like The Sandlot, bro. I could see a video like The Sandlot, like the guy pitching.
Benny?
Yeah, Benny. Oh
It's
my
my son's
God.
favorite. We actually just popped that in the other night.
Oh, dude,
Did you?
the best
The
movie.
internet went out, so we had to watch.
You had to actually watch a
DVDs.
real movie, a physical movie.
I missed all the Final Four games.
Oh, damn. That was when it was storming. I remember
Yes.
that.
Yeah, a lot of people lost power on
Yeah, those were some good
Saturday.
games on Saturday too. Way better than the game last night. So
Yes.
but the women's basketball is back. So guys, tap in with Chris. If you guys just want to shout out your I guess it's Profield Reserve everywhere.
Profield Reserve on every social media avenue, profieldreserve.com. Yeah. Tap in. Just be patient with us. If you order online, we don't make the stuff until it's actually ordered. So like I said, I'm not sitting on tons of inventory. So it's kind of one of the things. If you want a piece of something, order it. We'll get it to you within about 2 weeks. And yeah.
That's dope. I like that. So guys, STL Bucket List Show every single Wednesday, new episodes. Shout out to Half Coast in the back, always producing an amazing episode for us. Without them, we really wouldn't be able to do this. It's a lot of work to put these episodes out. And we like to keep our content clean. We like to keep the quality high. So the Regional Arts Commission, really without them being partners, just allowing us to have the guests on that we want to have, talk to the people that we want to talk about. We just want to really highlight the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. So see you guys next week.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.